what are your tips to an average consumer? Good few tips for an average consumer.
I think we need to safeguard our interests also, because many times, for example, you see there is a law saying that if you buy medicines at a chemist, druggist, you are entitled to a receipt. Many people don't even know this, they don't bother, they just pay the money and go away. And especially in medicines, there is a small chance that somebody is allergic to one prescription or something like that. If you want to follow that up, you want to be able to prove that you bought this medicine at particular shop on a particular date. And also there are always expiry dates on medicines. How many people check the expiry date? Whenever you are handed in not only medicines, but food packages, eatables, whatever, anything that is packaged, even cosmetics, they are all supposed to have by law an expiry date. This was not there some 25 years ago. In fact, when I was with the Consumer Guidance Society of India in Bombay, we lobbied for this law, saying that there should be an expiry date on things that will spoil with time, and there should also be an MRP. You know about MRP, maximum retail price. Without that, previously during the 70s, for example, anyone could charge anything for medicines, for bread, for all kinds of purchases. So if we are aware of these things, you can look up the expiry date when you buy cosmetics, bread, biscuits, whatever. Then if the expiry date is over, then you bring it to the notice of the shop. That is one way we can protect ourselves. Ask for a receipt. And if it is 5 or 6 rupees, usually the shops don't give. But if it is 25, 30, 50, even more 100, insist on a receipt. Half the time what happens is, if they give a receipt, the shopkeeper says he will have to charge VAT. VAT, he adds 14% or something depending on the goods. To save that money, a lot of people say, beda, which is absolutely stupid. You are not saving anything, you could get into a lot of trouble. So insist on a receipt, preserve it till you use those medicines. This is another thing. Otherwise, just keep abreast. There are lots of test reports available on what is substandard, especially electrical goods. How many people know what is substandard, what is overpriced, what is good value for money? And I think not many people know about these test reports which are available.
Where are they available? Where are these test reports available?
There is a lab in Ahmedabad, set up with UN assistance, financial assistance, UNDP assistance. I think it is the only lab of its kind in South Asia. And there 3 kinds of goods are tested in the lab, and it's independent testing. Usually what happens is, if the manufacturer tests, then he can monitor or suppress the things about side effects or whatever. And who else can test? Individuals like you and me, we cannot test at home, we don't have the facilities. So this lab tests eatables, food products, pharmaceuticals and electrical appliances.
But where are they posted? Can we see these test reports on the website or something?
There is a magazine. There is a magazine called Insight. INSIGHT.
Is it available online?
Yes, it is. I think it's available online, but by subscription I get it.
Oh, Insight.
And it is Insight.
Okay.
It is published by CERC. CERC stands for Consumer Education and Research Center. It's one of the biggest, perhaps the biggest and best known organization for consumer protection. They have a board of trustees which includes Supreme Court lawyers. So they have their laboratory, and we tested, we means I was one of the trustees for 6 years. We tested bottled water, found many of the leading brands having contaminated water, bacteria, etc. We have tested electrical appliances, we have tested food packets, pharmaceuticals, and these test reports are published in Insight every other month, once in 2 months.
It's available
everywhere. Anyone can subscribe. You can go to the website also, and crc@crcindia.org.
Insight at CRC?
No, Insight is a magazine.
Achha,
If you want to contact Insight, editor inside@yahoo.co.in. Otherwise, if you want to see the website, CRC you can write to CRC at crcindia.org. Or even Google search for CERC, Consumer Education Research Center. You can go to all the information.
We do get these reports. We do get these reports. reports.
You can get them.
Get them.
If you subscribe to the magazine, you can preserve them. For example, if I may take a minute, we tested ironing boxes, electrical irons. This was some time ago. We found that under the BIS, that's British, Bureau of Indian Standards, all electrical appliances should have mandatory ISI markings. You go to Avenue Road, I did this as an investigative report, and when you ask for electric iron, he shows you different brands, and then he says, "Idu tokoli, chenagide," because it's the lowest price. And I turn it round and say, "But there is no ISI mark andre, naan hakkodtini." He has a sticker and he just puts it there, and by law sticker is not allowed, it has to be etched and printed. So if there is no ISI, that means it can be a safety hazard. And we tested many brands, and one brand, it is supposed to last for 200 hours of use minimum, and after 62 hours it melted, which means it can set the whole house on fire. If the housewife switches it on and does some other work and she doesn't notice, the whole house will catch fire. How do you know about these things? And this shopkeeper wants to sell it because he gets a higher discount on that brand. So people should know what is substandard, what is good value for money, what is overpriced. And there are magazines like Consumer Reports in the US, which everyone buys. 58 lakh copies are sold of each issue. Nobody buys a computer or a refrigerator without consulting Consumer Reports. England has Which, W-H-I-C-H with a question mark, Which magazine. This insight is modeled on those two magazines. And if you read that, you can avoid the bad brands. That is one way of cleaning up the market, because if they are not able to sell, if people boycott it, they'll go out of the market.
Unfortunately, in India, awareness
is very low. Yeah.
Madam, is taking a trader or a service provider to the consumer forum a time-consuming exercise? Many consumers have told me that they do not have the time and patience.
No, I think this is a very wrong conception, because the Consumer Protection Act was specifically brought to facilitate, grievance redressal. And as I said, sometimes you do have lot of adjournments, but complainant can always ask that further adjournments should not be given. You can ask for costs and compensation if too many adjournments are given. You can say all the facts have been placed before you, please don't give an adjournment, give an order based on the facts given by both sides. So it is not time consuming, and you can file by just writing it on plain paper, you don't need a lawyer. And 2-3 adjournments, sometimes they need it in order to give a fair chance to the other party also. I don't think it's time consuming at all.
Madam, many also complain that there is no single window to register complaints.
No, there is. Why not? Because at Kaveri Bhavan, for example, we have the Consumer Redressal Forum there on the 8th floor. This is BWSSB building in Kaveri Bhavan. And that is the first one to be started, and that is the main place. And of course, we have 3 other district fora in Bangalore, but they pass it on depending on how much backlog there is and the area of the complainant, etc., residents. They either send it to Seshadripuram or somewhere else. But Kaveri Bhavan is the place where you can just hand in the complaint, and I would say it is like a single window thing. You don't need to run around.
How can we create more awareness, greater awareness among public? What more can be done? People are not aware, are not as aware as we see in other countries.
That is very true. Partly it is because of lack of education, especially among the lower income groups. For example, the cobbler sitting by the roadside, the banana seller, they don't know what their rights are. They are also consumers because they buy milk, they buy clothes, they go to the hospitals as patients. So we can share information, which I do. We can share information. They don't need to be literate. You can tell them orally that you can go complain here, what to do, you can help them. Or if you have resident welfare association, their community, at the community level, you can have meetings, seminars, workshops, or even just interactive sessions where you can share information. And if you subscribe to Insight, you can share it with a library. In fact, donate a copy to a library, public library or whatever. There are many, many ways of creating awareness.
Madam, I hope you know that Nama Bengaluru Foundation that
Yes.
sponsors this talk
Yes,
show
yes.
has launched a massive campaign to create awareness among the rights, about the rights of the consumers.
Yes, okay.
You have to say anything about it?
There are 4 basic rights. The first one, in my opinion, is safety. Safety is paramount. Anything you buy, whether it is cosmetics, medicines, or even electrical appliances, why even furniture, anything should not harm you.
part is
The safety is important. The second one is choice. If there is a monopoly, for example, when there was only one airline, domestic airline, we were completely at their mercy. And the moment the private airline started coming, the service really improved, because you cannot survive if there is competition. Similarly, telephone services. Once the private players started coming, you can always switch to a competitor if the service is unsatisfactory. So, choice. For example, if you go to a supermarket and there is only one brand of soap, you are stuck with it, even if you are unhappy with it. And when you have different brands and you have choice, then if you are not happy with one, you can go for the other. And the other one is information, which is what labeling laws do. We fought for that for a very long time, that label should say what it contains, what is the weight. For example, when I go to colleges and schools, I show visually, I haven't brought it today with me, there are cosmetic boxes which look quite big. When you open it, there is a tinier, smaller container inside which is half the size, and the cream is only for about 40% of what it shows. And previously we used to have soap packed in cardboard boxes which are much bigger. The soap inside would be only 1/3 of the size. So these are all ways of cheating. In fact, I have written a book about misleading advertisements, in how many ways the buyer is taken for a ride. So we need to look at all these and be aware, and not go by the size of the packaging, but the weight of the contents. You know, that is mandatory. 75 grams soap, 50 grams soap, or the contents of eat up biscuits or whatever. So you can, awareness, you should learn to read labels and what to look for, and then compare prices. A smaller packet may be containing more soap or cornflakes or whatever compared to another competing brand, but you compare the prices not just by money, but by the contents you are getting.